All right, welcome to the Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu podcast with host Yuki Mike and Joey Boretski. This is our second episode, and we have a really good one for you. So let's get started with a viewer question from Discord. Mike, what do you got for us?
I got a question here. What motivates people to start, and what keeps them motivated throughout their whole journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people start mostly because they like MMA.
Yeah, I was watching UFC. That's my main, I'd say that's my main influence to start.
Exactly. Like, obviously some people do, but it's just like, it's a weird thing for me to think of, like how they kind of develop that interest just because it's such a niche sport.
I feel like unless you're watching MMA, maybe like you have a friend or a family member who trains, or self-defense, I guess, might be. But I think most people are probably MMA.
That's a good point. And, you know, actually I say that, then I realize, like, I put out so many Facebook ads for the gym, you know, that are pretty like decently enticing. I'm like decent at making ads. And yeah, maybe that's what it is too, just like good marketing from gyms. And but to actually get started, probably yeah, I guess most people just don't have a sport to do and want to do something active. And like, you know, going to the gym is just super boring, you know, going on the treadmill, or, you know, I like lifting weights. I think it's fun, but like, you know, anything else at the gym, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I feel like jiu-jitsu attracts a lot of people who used to play a lot of sports in like high school or college, and then like for a lot of organized sports, they just don't have competitive leagues after that, and they just want something to do, and jiu-jitsu is something you can do for your entire life. So
yeah, see, it definitely attracts a lot of former athletes, but also it's cool because it attracts like you know, like tech guys and kind of people that weren't athletes in high school. And so that's a really unique part about jiu-jitsu. Like, you don't have to be super athletic to excel at it.
Right, because it's such a cerebral sport, because you have to think 2-3 moves ahead once you're further along in your jiu-jitsu journey, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much, you know, I think technique goes into it more so than athleticism, but obviously athleticism helps like by leaps and bounds. You know, someone that's athletic, that gets technical, they're going to be really good at jiu-jitsu, but someone that's athletic and doesn't get technical isn't going to be too good. But someone that's unathletic can get very good at jiu-jitsu as well. Yeah.
Damian Maia is a huge example of that. He said growing up that he wasn't a very athletic person, but he was smart enough. He just kept going rep after rep after rep until he became who he is, and we all know him now.
Yeah, I believe it, because just look at his shots. You know, look for like in MMA, that's kind of what holds him back, is his wrestling shots, and it's really hard to you know, be good at those without having some athleticism. And I think that's kind of just what he lacks a little bit. It's just not quite quick on the shot, which has kind of held him back a little bit in his career.
So what kept you going in jiu-jitsu? What kept you coming back?
Yeah, for me,
because I remember you said like the first class, like it was brutal, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I guess I just kind of developed a love for it, like basically after my second, third class. And then just from there, I think the belt system really does motivate people. Like, it motivated me. Like, you know, I'm not going to lie. Like, I wanted my blue belt like really bad. And I wanted my black belt one day really bad. And that really motivated me. And yeah, I would say sometimes people think that, you know, oh, the belts don't matter, this and that. But I mean, the progression, the desire to progress through it, I think helps.
I definitely agree. Like, when I started, like, I loved it from day one, but like I rolled with a blue belt, and, you know, I saw how good they were, and I went, I want that one day. Like, yeah. I want to be the blue belt that the new guy comes in and goes, my God, he's really good. And I think like without the belt, a lot of people would have a hard time sticking with it, because it can be hard, especially if you're training in a smaller gym where there's not a lot of new people and you're training with the same people. Like, they're getting good at the same rate you are probably. So you might never see that progression the same way some gyms would have. So the belt is like a good way to like gauge your progression.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because you were that guy. Like when I was a white belt, Joey had more experience than me. And I think he had like 3 stripes. And even then he was like beating me up. I'm like, I want to be able to do that to people. And it was like, he only has 3 stripes on his white belt. He's only a white belt and he's kicking my butt. You know, it's like, oh my God, you know, if I get like past that, I'm going to be able to beat anyone up, you know? But yeah.
There's 2 things that made me want to come back. The first was the first night Tanya kicked my butt for 2 rounds straight and tapped me like over 20 times, almost broke my arm. And she's half my size. We talked about that in the other podcast. But I thought, if she can do that, what can I do at twice her size if I need to? I need to learn this. I want to overcome that and become very good at this. That, and I was overcoming an addiction, right? So I needed something to fill that hole. And jiu-jitsu filled that hole very well for me.
And why do you keep coming back for the same reasons, I'd assume?
Well, yeah, it's become my new addiction. And I just love it. And like you said, you want that next stripe. You want that next belt. I look forward to it. I know some people don't put a lot of things into stripes and belts. They say they don't care, but I do.
Exactly. I think people should chase the knowledge and not the belt, but at the same time, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being excited to get a belt. I mean, I don't think people should act like that's like a lame thing to do, to be excited about, getting the belt. It's like, at your job, if you're excited to get a promotion, maybe it's not just for the pay. It's also just because you can be proud of yourself that, you reached a new title, a new level. Yeah.
It's like it's a tangible reward for your hard work. Like, I feel like a lot of people, that makes a big difference.
Oh, for sure it does. And like, it's just, especially with a sport that has so many ups and downs. I mean, it just feels good to reach that level and have that accomplishment.
I can honestly say it has, like I said, it replaced my addiction. And I know that when during the pandemic, when we had to shut down for a while, I remember, I don't know if I messaged you or told you in person, like, I think I might relapse. You know what I mean? Like, I've been sober for almost 3 years, and that jiu-jitsu, I didn't realize how much it meant to me and how it was keeping me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, man, the pandemic, when that first started, that was like one of the hardest months of my life. Just like not having jiu-jitsu, not knowing, what's going to happen with the gym and my whole life, basically. Like, my whole life is built around jiu-jitsu. And that was super scary for me and Nikki. And I'm really glad that it's pretty much over now. And I just hope it stays over. But yeah, like I could go on and on about how hard that was, but I'll spare you guys for this episode.
Well, the whole not knowing part was terrifying for me. I didn't know if it was going to be a month, a year, 2 years, because it was supposed to be 2 weeks to stop the spread, and it ended up being, a year and a half, right? And to an addict that is replacing something with something else, that was like, I can't have my new drug for another 2, 3, 4 months, and I almost relapsed. It was terrible.
Yeah, well, I heard a lot of people, they didn't have jiu-jitsu in their life, and they did have overdoses, and unfortunately passed away. And super sad. But what keeps you, do you have days that you don't want to train? Because I know I do.
100%. There's days that I don't want to train, but I make myself go in on those days, and afterwards, I'm always glad that I went and trained.
Exactly. I'll have like weeks sometimes where I'm just not really feeling it. But I've been in the sport so long that like I think it's harder for a black belt to not get burnt out than it is a lower belt. But for me, I just, like I've said it in other podcasts, like I'll just do it for the calories. If I'm just not feeling it, I got to still stay in shape. And burning calories to jiu-jitsu is a lot more fun than burning calories on the treadmill, for sure.
True.
Definitely agree. I know I have a problem with like someone will send me a message during the day asking how to do a technique, and I'll say like, I'll show you at class tonight, like before class starts or after class. And then by the time it gets to class, I'm like, I really don't want to go tonight, but I promised this person I would show them something. So I feel like I kind of have to drag myself there.
Exactly. It's tough for me because, I have to be there, like every single night. Well, I don't necessarily have to. Like, it's so nice to have so many people now. I could just be like, can you teach class for me? I'm just like, I need like a mental health day. And, that does happen sometimes. So I'm really grateful to have so many people that will help out. No problem. So like Joey, for example.
Yeah, Joey's a great teacher. He always shows some eccentric tricks, you could say, sometimes.
Yeah, try and show things that Jordan won't show you guys, like just stuff that I do that he doesn't do, because like I'll be the first person to admit that Jordan's just better than me at jiu-jitsu. So like instead of showing the stuff that he shows you guys, just worse, I'd rather show you the stuff that he doesn't use that I use, and maybe I appeal to different people.
Yeah, and I remember when he first came to the gym, when we were both purple belts, and I was super excited to have that different outlook on jiu-jitsu, just because, mine is such like fundamentals based, and, I don't do a lot of crazy stuff other than like rolling back attacks, so having Joey's like kind of unorthodox style is like super helpful for the gym, because, some people, they excel in that kind of stuff like Joey does. So now he can provide that to others.
And I've used some of his tricks. I call them tricks, but I mean, I've used some of his techniques that are unorthodox, and I couldn't believe that they worked, because some of them seemed kind of strange and out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's like my whole game really is like, I'm not the strongest person. I'm not the most athletic person. So if I just try and beat people like that, and like I haven't been training the longest, like other black belts have been training like 20 years, I really am not going to beat someone if I just try and use my worst attributes against their better attributes. So I have to find that niche. And for me, that niche is just doing things that people don't expect, or doing them differently than people would expect.
Yeah, exactly. And like, not that you're not athletic, you could definitely have athleticism, but I think that, just being honest, I might be a little more athletic than you. So like, that might influence my jiu-jitsu, and your athleticism might influence your jiu-jitsu. So everyone has different levels of athleticism. And I think that factors into what kind of techniques you choose as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu is like you can take 10 equally skilled black belts and they might all have really different games just because of like what they're given, like their strength or their speed, the way they move. But none of them are necessarily better than the others. Like they all have their interesting niches of knowledge, but it's just you kind of make a game that suits you.
Exactly. And it's not even just strength and speed and knowledge. It also comes down to like reaction time and zigging when he should have zigged and not zagging instead, zigging when he should have zagged, and just like that kind of stuff. And just like, yeah, I think so much goes into jiu-jitsu that I think sometimes people don't really realize, because a lot of it is just like doing the right thing when and not being delayed in your thought process.
Yeah. The reaction time is an interesting one because I have a terrible reaction time. I'm that guy at like a stoplight when the light goes green and I'm there for another like 6 seconds before I'm just terrible at reacting to things. And I find during jiu-jitsu sometimes I'll see an opening. I'm like, oh, a move. And then by the time I like go for it, it's gone. I'm like, oh, whoops, didn't react in time.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty lucky to have like pretty good reaction time. I think that's why my scrambles are good, and that's like one of like the main aspects of my game is like scrambles, just because I'm just like ready to go. Like I kind of know where I need to be before the other person does in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think that's one thing that that kind of is an attribute of athleticism that kind of goes overlooked, because most people just assume it's just strength and speed that factors into that.
I'm not quite there at my level, 3-stripe blue belt. When does that kind of come in, the intuition to when you don't have to think anymore, you just flow into your next move? Like, do you either have it or you don't, or do you learn it by a certain point? This might be a dumb question, but I mean, by the time you're brown belt, do you know your next 4 moves? Or because at blue belt, I might know my next 1 move.
No, that's a great question. And yeah, it's not a dumb question at all. It's like actually a super good question. And it's just a hard one to answer because there's so many things that go into, progressing through the belts. And obviously one is like technicality, but definitely one is just like knowing what to do when. And it's hard to really answer that one just because, I think everyone's different and kind of approaches jiu-jitsu differently and kind of progresses through jiu-jitsu differently. So yeah, I would say like even like as a white belt, I had that pretty good, but like I was just like winging things for so long, and but still had that kind of reaction time to know somewhat what to do when.
Yeah, so some people are born with it, and some people are going to acquire it over their years in jiu-jitsu then.
I think so. And I think actually what a lot of it comes down to is like personality type too, because one of my good friends, she always sends me this like the 16 personality traits. I don't know if it's like ENFP and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you should do a personality test. I think they're really cool. But I think that kind of stuff actually really factors into people's jiu-jitsu styles too. Their personality does. So it's very simple. I compare a lot of things in jiu-jitsu to music, because I was like a musician. Like as a teenager, I wasn't very good. I still play a little bit now, but I think it's like a lot of it's just very similar that way, where your music is it's kind of impacted by your personality too. So I think that factors into it for sure.
And the second part of that question was where would you be without jiu-jitsu in your life?
Yeah, for me, honestly, I don't think I'd be doing well. And I kind of answered it like a little bit in the first podcast, but just basically because, just my mindset and everything, I was super depressed before jiu-jitsu, just because, in my mind growing up, I was like, I'm going to be great. I'm going to do all these things. And because I wasn't achieving that was very stressful for me. And I don't know where I would have achieved that. I don't know what path I would have taken. So I think that maybe my depression would have got worse, and I would have started being a little bit self-destructive. I don't know. It's hard to really tell that way, but right now, like one thing I'm really passionate about is just video production and content creation. And growing up as a kid, like I always wanted a video camera so bad, and we couldn't afford one. I wasn't like poor, but we were like lower middle class at first, and kind of went up to middle and then whatever. So yeah, I'm really happy to have one now, and I just love having a camera and just learning new things. And people are going to see a lot of cool stuff coming in the coming videos as I learn more and more. And I'm actually using Skillshare to learn it because it's a great service. So sometimes I think people, when they see the sponsored videos, they think, oh, maybe I'm just like doing it for money. But obviously that factors in because they pay way better than YouTube. But I mean, I'm actually using these things. Like I use HelloFresh too, and I use Skillshare to learn and to eat.
I know where I would be without jiu-jitsu, and I've messaged you many times after class, and I've messaged you, Joey, as well after class, and I would be, I might not be here. Let's be honest. It fills that gap in my heart. You know, it's so hard to explain. I have mental illness as well. We went over this in the first podcast, and it keeps me level. It keeps my head straight.
Exactly.
You know, I don't think I would be here, to be honest. Not to be a downer, but I'm being honest.
No, it's true. I think especially once you do jiu-jitsu, it's like, what did I even do with my time before?
Yeah.
You know? And I remember like times before where I was like thinking about quitting jiu-jitsu just because like I was kind of tired of like, you know, back in the day I was eating right, training all the time, and just so like my body's just so like tired, and I'm like, why do I even do this to myself? But I'm thinking like, well, what else am I gonna do with my time? You know, I was thinking I'm just gonna like watch TV, like watch Netflix and like all night, and that's gonna be my life, you know? So yeah. I much prefer doing jiu-jitsu.
Well, from the time I wake up, I can't wait to get to class. That's all I think about. You know,
yeah.
I stay home and I take care of my father all day, and then I go to class. So all day I have a lot of time to watch YouTube videos, and I watch anything to do with jiu-jitsu, and that's all I'm thinking about all day is jiu-jitsu, and I cannot wait. I'm so happy when I get to class. Like, all my friends are there. You guys are all my best friends. So without jiu-jitsu, I'd be in a very bad place. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I remember, you know, when I was a white belt, and I was still passionate about it now, but like definitely in the earlier days, I was like super pumped about it. So like the gym was only open 3 days a week, and like I'd wake up and it's a Tuesday, I'd be like, yes, you know, there's jiu-jitsu tonight. Yeah. Or I'd wake up and it's Wednesday, I'd be like, yes, there's jiu-jitsu tomorrow, you know? So like every day I was excited except for, you know, Sunday, because there wasn't jiu-jitsu on Monday. So like, you know, it's such a long gap for me, like 2 days in between.
I know for me, like when I moved, like I started jiu-jitsu in high school, and then I moved away for college. And when I got to college, that was the first time the gym I was at had class like every day, and sometimes like twice a day. And I was like, I'm obsessed with jiu-jitsu. I have to go to all these classes. And I'm pretty sure if I didn't have jiu-jitsu, I could have got a lot better grades. But don't tell my parents, but there were definitely a lot of classes that were missed, because I'm like, I could just go to the gym. I don't need to go to that class. I'll catch up on it later. But it is like, I do think jiu-jitsu is super addictive, and it is amazing to have in your life, but you definitely have to be careful that it doesn't take over your life and get in the way of other things.
Well, that's the problem sometimes people have. It's like, especially the competitors, they just want to drop everything in their life and just focus solely on jiu-jitsu. And I was like that too back in the day. I'm like, I just want to be a competitor. I want to, like, you know, I don't know, move to like a big gym and just train all day and do this and that. But like, it's like kind of throwing away my life. And, you know, only very few people make it in jiu-jitsu to actually make money through competing. So, you know, I think I took a much better path of making money through teaching.
I feel like it's hard to have longevity in that lifestyle too, like training, you know, twice a day, 7 days a week. Your body can only handle so much abuse. I feel like that's not something that's sustainable into like your 30s and 40s, whereas like owning a school and teaching jiu-jitsu is probably more sustainable.
Exactly, because, you know, it's just hard to, you know, when you're younger, you know, you got school and everything, but then even when you're older, you have a job. But I'm lucky that jiu-jitsu is my job, because I always think like, you know, people work all day, especially in like, you know, hands-on like laborers jobs, but even office jobs, whatever it is. It's just like, I know how tired I would be from the day, and it'd be hard to show up at night, because even what I do now, like, I mostly work from home unless I'm, you know, at the gym, and, you know, I get tired from that. So I can only imagine some people, you know, the dedication they have is pretty awesome, especially like, you know, like construction workers. I mean, I wouldn't, or any trades, I couldn't be out there in the sun all day and still come to jiu-jitsu. Like, I commend them for being able to do that.
Yeah, there's a few guys at the club that they work very hard jobs, 10, 12-hour days, and then come to the gym. And I admire them for that. I don't know if I could do that.
The sun definitely takes a lot out of you, like working outside for 9-10 hours and then going to roll, you just feel dead.
Oh man, even just hanging out outside like with like Nikki and the kids, I'm like getting tons of sun, and then like, you know, the nighttime comes to roll, I'm just fried, you know, and I'm not even working. I'm just like, you know, just spending time with them. So imagine like, yeah, being like doing some super labor. It's like, you know, that's pretty great dedication for sure.
Yeah.
Or you work outside in like a t-shirt and you get a sunburn on your neck, and you know, I'm going to go to class tonight and someone's going to try and collar choke me, and it's just going to rub on this sunburn, and it's going to be the most painful thing. Man,
people still do it. People are crazy too. Sometimes people come to the gym, they just had a tattoo that day and they're still rolling. I'm like, guys, take a couple of days off, you know, but people just have that extreme dedication, or they get injured and they're still there. I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm bad for that, for getting injured and showing up at class.
I used to be, like, for sure. But then what really changed was once I had my ankle basically like broken, like it was all torn up. like I said, I didn't tap to an ankle lock in a tournament, but I still won by rear naked choke. So I was still happy. You know, it was the finals of the absolute division. So, you know, I took one for the team. I took, you know, basically like it wasn't a smart decision. Don't do this. But yeah, and then I came back to training after a week. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'll wrap it up. And then it got so much worse after. Like I just made it a lot worse. I had to take more time off. I'm like, okay, if I want longevity in the sport, I got to take care of myself and not be reckless.
Yeah, no, Advil is my best friend lately when I go to the gym. And I don't know how much longer I can keep going 6 days a week in my late 40s and at this pace. You know, I might have to slow it down a little bit.
I think you'll be all right.
I'll probably still go, but, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty crazy. You train more than like the people half your age.
Exactly.
I'm obsessed. Like I said, without it, that's all I think about all day. Without it, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, one thing I want to talk about today, just because it kind of happened yesterday, was like, you know, like the video I posted, like the video we made, the fake white belt prank video.
Yeah.
Man, some people on Facebook were like mad about that, saying like it's like rude to the students. And yeah, just saying it was kind of like bullying almost, and kind of made me really sad because like, I don't ever want to be viewed as, you know, someone that would do that kind of thing to people. But in my mind, it was just a harmless prank. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I don't get how it's bullying or how it's wrong in any way. I don't understand it.
Me neither. And it's funny, that video actually got like a ton of criticism. Not like a ton, like 99% of the comments were like, you know, positive and thought it was funny. But like the ones that weren't, they were such contrasting opinions. Like some people were saying like, oh, you know, it shouldn't even be a prank because everyone should have no ego in jiu-jitsu, and, you know, this shit's fine if you get tapped out by a white belt. And then people were saying the opposite, like, oh, you know, it's like rude to hurt people's feelings, you know, even though everyone at the gym had a great time. And a lot of people said it was like one of the best nights in jiu-jitsu they ever had.
I thought it was fun. And like, I could see if you were a black belt and you went to a gym that didn't know you and you wore a white belt and no one knew and you didn't tell anyone after, like that's kind of bullying because you can really hurt some people's feelings maybe, or like bruise their egos in ways that maybe you shouldn't do. But like you and I knew Arthur, he showed up, everyone was in on it who needed to be in on it. And you like, it became very clear after the rounds. Like we told people like, don't feel bad. He is a black belt, a very talented black belt too, not just any ordinary black belt. Like, I feel like it was done properly. And I don't think anyone at the gym's feelings or egos were hurt.
Yeah, I agree. It's like people are sticking up for our members that never even had an issue whatsoever. Like they thought it was a great time. And one thing I thought was kind of messed up, someone called Arthur a lowlife on Facebook. I'm like, so you're saying Arthur is being rude to do this to people, but then you're also calling him a lowlife on Facebook. It's like, don't they see the, you know, how that's kind of contradictory?
Nobody was bothered by this whatsoever. Everybody that I talked to loved it. They thought it was hilarious. All at the end, we're all clapping and cheering when you revealed that he's actually black belt. It was great. I thought it was like one of the best times at jiu-jitsu that I've had. I love being pranked.
Exactly. And, you know, and like, I want to make it clear, like most people, 99.9 even, were like, thought it was funny, thought it was a great prank and loved the video, but it was just that few. But, you know, anything I post, people will try to find some sort of fault in it, you know, and I really don't, I think that's really lame. Like, for example, you know, I redid the Zach video, the 10th Planet Black Belt, and, you know, someone commented, they're like, oh, come to like 10th Planet Oceanside or 10th Planet San Diego and come roll with a real black belt. I'm like, that's rude to Zach. Why would you say that? Yeah. You know, so like, they're saying the 10th Planet is great, but then they're kind of like talking smack about another 10th Planet black belt. And Zach is super talented. He was a super hard match. Like, I had to be very smart and approach it intelligently. That's
more disrespectful than any of the videos you've ever made. Like, that's like, by calling someone not a real black belt because they didn't get a submission or they lost, in quotations, a round on video. Like, who's never lost a round in a gym? Exactly. That's a ridiculous thing to say. And like, you know, when people say stuff like that, it's going to make others not want to even be on the rolls, which like screws my channel. So like, I always delete those comments because I don't want people seeing those. There's very few. Most like hate is directed towards like me, even though there isn't very much of it. But yeah, I just thought that was super lame and not cool at all.
but people are just not nice out there. You know, there's a lot of, there is a lot of bullies out there, even as an adult. And it's unfortunate.
I'll tell a little fun story that when Jordan and I started, we started at the same gym. The coach there was, he was a bigger dude, really strong, and he could be a little bit aggressive, but this was my first time like being in a jiu-jitsu gym. I didn't really know any better what was right and wrong. And we were rolling the one day and he put me in a Kimura, and anyone who knows me knows my shoulders are not flexible. Like I can't even scratch most of my own back. Like I have a really hard time reaching behind. And he put me in a Kimura and I started to tap when he pulled my grip free. And I will always remember he looked down at me and said, "I haven't even cranked this yet. You shouldn't be tapping." And then he just proceeded to crank it until he felt that it had gone far enough for it to stop. And now, like a decade later, anytime I raise my elbow above my shoulder, the whole thing like clicks and pops out of place.
Wow. Can you imagine permanently, not disabling, but permanently changing someone's like body and the way it works just because you have such an ego that way? I remember the same exact experience, not with my shoulder, but I remember my arm just getting cranked on so much. And just that's such a not cool thing to do. And it reminds me too, like sometimes instructors are like that. Even when they're teaching technique, they just put on the technique so fast and so strong. And I remember this one seminar I went to. No one wanted to be the guy's Yuki, like his partner for demonstrating, because he would just crank the crap out of things and just hurt people. And that's like super not cool.
No.
Yeah, and definitely, like, if I was in that situation now, I would not have stayed. I would have just found a new gym. But, like, we're from a small town. There weren't any other options at the time, and I didn't really know any better. I kind of just thought, like, this is what a jiu-jitsu gym is like.
Exactly. And times were just different back then because, that was 10 years ago, and things were a little more culty, to be honest, way more culty, and where it's like, this is the way it is, and this is the team, and you have to do this, and they almost try to control you. And nowadays people really understand that it's more like, if it's more like a business, and I like that approach more, like not in the sense where, it's like the business and sort of like corporation, whatever, but it's like, if you don't like what you're getting, go to a different gym, and there's lots of gyms out there, but at the time it was such a different culture around jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of people ask me online or something like, maybe they're like, I don't feel like I'm fitting in at my gym, or something's happening that they don't like. And my first advice is always just remember, you're a paying customer. Like, you don't have to put up with being abused or being treated poorly or not getting the service you feel like you're entitled to. Like, I know you might feel a sense of loyalty to a gym, and that's normal, but at the same time, like, you're paying money to be there. They have to meet a standard.
Exactly. And, if someone were to quit my gym, I just think, well, what could I have done better to, is my product good? I would try to reflect on myself, but also understand everyone has different, wants and, what they want in a gym. So, I don't obviously do anything like that. And that's just not cool for anyone, to crank on people's stuff and a lot of stuff that happened.
You're very interactive with your members, though. I remember when I first started, I'd take a week off or 3 days, 4 days off, and you would message me and say, "You coming into class tonight, Mike? You coming in?" And I'd say, yeah, I'll be there. And I might not have shown up if you weren't so hands-on with us. You know what I mean? Like, you're a great instructor.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you have to find a balance, because I think I've heard of other instructors just getting on people's asses about like, you weren't in today, what the heck's going on, and like almost like demanding them to come to class. But that's like the opposite end of the spectrum as well. You have to have a balance that way.
Yeah. I feel like there's a sweet spot of checking in on someone to make sure they're okay, or like, did something happen at the gym that, we can fix that might want to bring you back, and just like harassing people to be there.
Exactly, because there's so many different, there are things that can happen, different circumstances. Like maybe someone does have a negative experience and then they're not at class for a little while, and it is good to check on them and make sure everything's okay. But also like demanding of them to be there every single class, and like having this like, like they owe you something is kind of weird too, so That's too far.
I did get a lot of feedback from the last podcast. I just wanted to bring this up real quick about anxiety and things like that. I've had multiple people message me and say that they've had the same experiences too. So it's quite prevalent, for people to be incredibly anxious when they first start BJJ. And some people ask me, how long does it take to get over it? And I'd say it's different for every individual. But for me, it took maybe a couple months, and then I felt incredibly comfortable. And then you guys basically became my second family,
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like up to like the gym owner and the members to make sure people feel included and not be like a clique, you know, like where you can't get into that social circle, you know. You should include everyone. And because definitely people have anxiety of doing new things. Like I remember I tried yoga and I had so much anxiety to go in because I was like, I'm like, don't look like a guy that does yoga. I probably stick out like a sore thumb. And I remember like, yeah, they were all nice and everything, but I just didn't feel like, I just didn't feel super comfortable, and not that they made me feel uncomfortable, but it just didn't have the same vibe as like something like our gym does.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
That's interesting. I love hearing your guys' opinions on this because like I don't have that kind of anxiety. Like I've never struggled with that. Like I walk in for my first day of class, and I feel like I was fine. I don't like when I compete, I'm a little nervous, but like I like that. So I've never really gone through that, but like hearing your side, like your opinions on how like people might be really anxious just coming to their first day is like good for me because I know that the person walking in might feel that way because I never did. So I just wouldn't assume that would be something someone would feel.
It was sheer terror for me. Like I said, the last podcast, I'd drive into the gym, wait outside and then just drive off and go home. And I couldn't do it. And then finally I just walked in and it was hard, but every time got easier. And after a few weeks, a month, it was like I belong there, you know, you guys were like family, like I said.
Yeah, I think it's like exposure helps a lot. Just the more you do it, the easier it gets. And yeah, Joey, it seems like you're just not a guy that has anxiety at all. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I don't get super anxious about a lot of things. I mean, like I'm pretty used to it. I just like I played a lot of sports as a kid, and I've never gotten people get nervous for tournaments and things. I like that kind of. I like feeling a little uncomfortable, but I hate calling people on the phone. That's the one thing I don't like doing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone from our generation does. You know, it's such a, I'm more used to it now. It's all good. But I remember I was in real estate. I had such a hard time calling people. I just like, please text me instead. You know, now everyone texts, but back then all the agents were kind of older. You know, so like they all want to call.
Yeah, that's my generation. The smartphone's new to me. I mean, when I grew up, we had a rotary phone. You know, when we want to talk to somebody, we had to look at them. So yeah, it's quite different now.
Yeah, exactly. And I know kind of what you mean about like, you know, driving home and stuff like that, like, you know, not being able to enter into the gym. And I remember one time I felt like that, like it was just like, I don't mind talking about stuff like mental health, but one time I had an anxiety attack and I never experienced one before. It was like the beginning of 2019 and it just like came out of nowhere. And like, and then for like a whole like month or two after, I had such a hard time, like almost falling back into the anxiety attack. And I have a hard time like going to the gym, or like restaurants were really bad too. It was just like, for some reason, just like being in that environment would just like make me feel like so anxious for whatever reason. And yeah, it's such a strange thing because before that, I never really felt that ever before. So yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And so I definitely know how you feel in that regard.
Yeah, it has definitely gotten less and less anxiety since I started, but I still have anxiety attacks. I mean, it doesn't cure, BJJ doesn't cure everything, right? It helps. It really helps with mine.
Yeah, man, anxiety attack literally feels like you're dying. You're
yes,
like, what is happening right now? I'm sure I'm dying.
I'm not embarrassed to say that on the way home from the fights that you called a couple weeks ago, the ASG event, that I had a panic attack in the car, and It was with all my friends, and I thought I was dying, thought I was having a heart attack, and thank God that actually Joey's cousin was there, and he put his hand on my back and said, "You're going to be all right, bro." And that's all I needed. That's all I needed was somebody to tell me I'm going to be all right. Nobody judged me in the car. I don't know what they said when I got out. They probably talked shit. No. I'm joking.
But
they're all good.
Why do you think that? What do you think sparked that?
It just came out of nowhere. I have no idea what it was. My heart started pounding. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I knew. A little piece of me knew I wasn't having a heart attack, but I mean, you know what an anxiety attack is like. You feel like you're dying. There's nobody can tell you you're not. You're just dying. That's it. Literally,
it's like an excruciating feeling. And I think it's good when people share that kind of stuff, because I remember when I had one, I was like, "What is wrong with me?" You know, like what is happening right now? Like afterwards, like reflecting on what happened to me, what's happening. And I remember, like, you know, the rapper Logic. Yeah. He has a song all about anxiety, and has talked about his anxiety attack he's had before. And he had one like basically going to the movie theater. He just like all of a sudden had an anxiety attack and had to be rushed to the hospital because he thought he was dying. And like that really helped me realize, okay, like Logic seems like a pretty well put together dude. And, you know, if he can have one and talk about it, then, you know, I can have one and, you know, talk about it too, no problem.
One night on my way home from class, I got 3/4 of the way home. I had to pull over. I called 911, thought I was having a heart attack. The ambulance came, checked my blood pressure and all that, and said, yeah, get you into the hospital. So they ran tests. It was nothing. It was a panic attack. But I mean, it can be that bad that you will go to the hospital thinking you're dying. Yes.
Yeah. You know what happened to me actually? And it was like not related to jiu-jitsu, but I started having one and I was like, wow, what? I feel so weird. What's happening? So I started walking upstairs to lie down. And as I was walking, I just passed out and hit my head right on the stair. And then it opened up it opened up a cut. I was like bleeding everywhere. And then I passed like in and out of consciousness for like 45 minutes. And it was like the most scary thing ever happened in my life. I thought I was dying. Nikki thought I was dying. I thought that was like it for me.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And now, since then, anytime I started to feel a little funny, I'm just, okay, I'm just going to lie down right on the spot because I don't want to make the same mistake.
Were you having anxiety that day that happened?
No, that's what was really weird. It's like, I just felt fine. Like it just seemed like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, sometimes they do just come right out of the blue.
Yeah, now I got a scar on my forehead, that reminds me. So, yeah.
Were you injured after that, like concussed or?
Yeah, I was concussed for like a couple of weeks, and I didn't tell anyone why. Like, 'cause I didn't think it was like, I don't know, I was kind of like ashamed of it back then, but now like it's whatever, things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it was a super scary experience. And then like 2 days after that, then I started, I had another one, but I was on the couch just watching a movie, and it just like, I had another one. It just started feeling like I was dying again. It was like a wave of like feeling like total crap, like just overwhelmingness, and it would kind of go away for like a couple seconds and it would come back. It was like really strange thing. So yeah, it's if you ever suffered an anxiety attack, then well, you have, but I mean like the viewers, it's like it's super scary.
Yeah. Anybody out there that has had one knows exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. And those that haven't, I hope you never experienced one.
Yes. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Exactly, because it's something I didn't really understand before I had one. I was like, okay, I didn't even think I had anxiety before that. I thought, okay, I'm a pretty calm person that way, and but then all of a sudden, no, like you got anxiety.
Yeah, and I've tried every medication you can think of, and like I said, if medication helps you, that's great. But for myself, this is only for myself. It didn't help me, and exercise helps me, like jiu-jitsu. I can't think of anything else other than jiu-jitsu when I'm rolling. So I can't worry about, am I going to have an anxiety attack? I got to worry about this arm bar I'm almost in. You know what I mean? Like it completely wipes my slate blank.
Do you ever feel like claustrophobic when someone like really big or really putting a lot of pressures on top of you?
Well, not like I used to. I mean, I feel uncomfortable now. I'm not claustrophobic anymore because that's pretty much cured now that I've been doing jiu-jitsu, having big, heavy guys on me all the time. I just got through it with exposure therapy, but now it's just more uncomfortable. Before it was sheer panic, terror. I feel like I'm going to die. I'm tapping. Yeah.
Sometimes I do just a little bit. It's when I think about it. It's when I'm like, this sucks. I can't breathe. And it's like, don't panic. I'm like, oh crap. I'm starting to panic a little bit. Yeah. And then I like really want to get out, which is like in one way, good motivation to get out.
Yeah, and Joey actually has a great move for me it's called Mother's Milk.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love to do it every now and then. If I get Mount and Mike's not cooperating, I'll just kind of hold his head still, and then I'll just drop my stomach on his face and try and smother him until he taps.
That helped me get over it quite a bit.
You'll get a little bit comfortable being in that position after that happens. You don't tap to it anymore, though.
I don't anymore. I have tapped to it, and now I don't, so that's proof that it works.
Yeah, it's one of those things you do to your friends, but people you don't know. Just so there's a lot of techniques like that, that it's like, mouth smothering. You don't do that to someone that, isn't your friend either. I did it to you because you're my friend.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So I posted that video and some people were like, oh yeah, it's such a dick move, it's Jiu-Jitsu. But I think it depends on the context with a lot of these things.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I mean, at the moment I was like, that kind of sucked. But after I saw the video, I laughed about it. I mean, you can prank me any way you want. We're good friends. We're all good friends. We can get away with a lot. I mean, you wouldn't do that to a first day white belt.
No, 100%.
Because they probably wouldn't come back.
I've had people lick my hand when I did it on them. That's another thing too. It's like, you wouldn't lick someone's hand that's not your friend.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
That'd be kind of weird too. So it just shows the dynamic. It's like, yeah, some moves are just reserved for your friends for sure.
Yeah.
That's true. I tried to use my stomach smother that I like for Mike on someone else, and he bit me in the stomach. Pretty hard, actually. Wouldn't let go.
I think I know who that is.
Yeah. Well, I eventually stopped doing it to him, so I guess that it worked.
I guess you guys weren't friends.
Well, I don't want to do that anymore because I don't want to get bitten. But
man, I never heard someone getting bit in jiu-jitsu other than like I guess like some MMA fights and like eye gouging too, pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a video of a UFC fighter. He was grappling with someone in like a tournament, and he was in a guillotine. He started eye gouging the guy. Yeah,
that's not cool.
No. Not cool at all. He's a heavyweight, and a couple other examples. That Chinese fighter Jing, I don't know. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but he did it to Jake Matthews. He was in a guillotine, and he just started eye gouging with his thumbs.
I think the worst example of that is when Jake Shields fought Paul Harris. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the promotion, but the whole time he was getting his eyes gouged, and then he got cranked on by Kimura. It was horrible.
I remember that. No, the worst one was in Pride, and it was I forget the guy's name who got eye gouged, but I forget who. I think it was that Dutch fighter that did it.
Oh yeah, it was the first Pride.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then the fighter that got eye gouged, she's like permanently blind in that eye now.
Yeah, I saw that match. Gracie ended up winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Hicks and Gracie ended up winning. Yeah.
I think that was in the Choke documentary. I'm pretty sure.
And anybody who hasn't seen the Choke documentary, it's necessary for BJJ. I think you should see it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really good one. That's what I want to start doing, is making documentaries. It's just hard to figure out what to do it on. But I'm probably going to Costa Rica to film some stuff with Chewy. And while I'm there, I want to do a documentary on Heroes BJJ. It's a gym there that all the proceeds for the camps and the gym itself go towards poor Costa Rican kids, so it feeds them and enables them to jiu-jitsu. So I think that'd be a really cool topic for a documentary.
Yeah,
that sounds really cool. I mean, I'm not a big camp guy. Like, I don't think I would ever go to any of those camps, but if I was going to do it, that would be a cool one to go to, because at least your money's going to a good place.
Exactly, because part of me, like, I was thinking, maybe I don't really want to go, because I got a lot going on, because I already paid for it. But I'm like, well, worst case, I just gave $1,000 to poor Costa Rican kids. So like, that's not really a bad thing to not, quote unquote, waste my money on by not going, right? So, but then I think, well, if I go, I can also make a documentary, right? So just like a 10-minute one or something like that, because that's really what I want to get into, like, in the future. I want to make like documentaries you see on like Netflix, because I think one day, for sure, one day I won't have the YouTube channel. I'll like have kind of moved on, because just in general, I forget who said it, but someone said, like, every person needs like a new passion every 10 years. I'm sure everyone's different, but for me, I kind of feel that way. It's like, I love jiu-jitsu and love teaching, but eventually I want to start shifting my focus towards other things in terms of content creation that I just find a lot of joy in. Yeah. I gotta find just things to do it on. And yeah, I got like years left so don't worry, guys. I got like years left of the jiu-jitsu channel. I still love doing it, but yeah, it's not something I can do forever.
Yeah.
That's an interesting skill in itself, though, is just finding things you like doing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know I've talked to a lot of people who just don't know what they want to do. Whereas, like, your problem is you have too many things you want to do.
Exactly. One of my good friends told me, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And because, he recognized the same thing. It's like, I always want to do things. I always have business ideas that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then, because I talked about before, I'm like bipolar. So like, I get my focus set on certain things, and then I get super excited about them, but then it's like I can't do absolutely everything. I'll burn myself out. So it's just about finding what I can and can't do. And I'm just fortunate that way, where that I can kind of find those things, because I think it's hard going through life without a passion. So that's what's great that Jiu-Jitsu provides, but there's other things out there too that people got to look towards.
I think it's great that you talk about the bipolar, mental illness.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. For one thing, I'm kind of going through last couple of days going through like a depressive episode, just because I don't know, there's not a lot going on that I'm really super excited about. And we did a test podcast on Friday, didn't go super well, and people are kind of talking crap on Facebook about the video. So I kind of fell into this depressive state, which sucks. But I also recognize when these things happen that, they're not forever, and everything is cyclical. So when I'm going through the bad times, I got to endure them. And when I'm going through the good times, I got to savor them. So I had a good mentality that way, and just understand that I'm not going to be depressed forever. And I'm already starting to feel a little better just from this podcast. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm anxious just in general. So I apologize if I stutter and stammer a little bit, but that's just my anxiety kicking in.
Yeah, man, it's hard to talk without tripping over your words. Like at the super fights I commentated, I think I did a decent job, but I tripped over my words more than I would have liked to. But that's okay, not a big deal, because I recognize that I'm going to get better at it, and so it's okay that it's not perfect right now. And I think it's funny, some people, like, had someone like kind of criticize me for criticizing people too much during the matches, but in my mind I wasn't criticizing them. I was just saying my thoughts, what I thought was happening.
Isn't that like the role of a commentator though? Like if you see something that's not good or wrong, like that's poor commentary to not acknowledge that.
Yeah, exactly. Because why would I because he said, oh, I should just talk about what's happening and not what I think people should do. But I mean, a lot of commentators are boring, and that's all they do. Oh, he's got half guard, now he's got full guard. That's boring. So that kind of bothered me. It's a little bit, just because, I don't like when anyone criticizes me. I have a hard time with that. So I didn't like that, but I got over it super quick. So I just realized, he's like a black belt in Ontario. I don't know who it was, but because someone sent me a screenshot of what he wrote. But I think I got this feeling that some people, not all, but some black belts in Ontario might be a little bit jealous of my success and what I've done, because, that's just the nature of when people succeed. People get a little jealous.
Well, that's the beauty of like YouTube though, is if they're jealous of it, they can just start and try, like, do it too. Like, yeah, there's nothing stopping anyone from doing it.
There's nothing stopping that guy from commentating too, right? But maybe he doesn't think maybe that's not his point. He just thinks that I didn't do a good job, but I think I did a great job. It was just like little things, like I saw one guy, he like reached over the head of someone else in the wrestling, instead of like framing with his forearm. And in my mind, it's like, why would you do that? You're gonna get your back taken or body locked, or maybe if you do a head and arm throw, it makes sense, but he wasn't going for one. So just like when I see little things like that, why would I not say it? That's the role of a commentator. And I didn't say anything rude. I was just like, oh, maybe that guy lacks a little bit of wrestling experience, but that's all I said. And just kind of things like that, just like people reaching over the head for no reason, instead of like taking overhooks or underhooks, like just grips that don't make sense in my mind, and every grip needs a purpose, which I talked about a lot in the channel. And if you're taking grips that don't have a purpose, I'm going to mention it in the commentaries, and not in a rude way. I'm just going to mention it. And
plus, you were the only one commentating, correct? You didn't have anybody to bounce anything off of.
Yeah, that made it really hard, because then you really just got to talk as you think, know? So there's no, there's no editing it out, or, you're going to say some things that, you're like, oh crap, I wish I didn't say that. I wish I didn't sound critical there, but yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's how I get when we're going to do a podcast. I feel immense anxiety, but I'm a white belt at podcasting. Giving me a while, I'll get my blue belt soon.
We all will. And just in general, this podcast will just get better and better.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's funny, the viewers that don't know, like, we've done 3 test podcasts. We've done 3 total that we haven't used. Like, the one on Friday we didn't use just because it wasn't like super engaging, in my opinion, because I was just really tired and had a lot of things going on. Like, like the gym, we put new mats in, and I was just like, I had an online private too that day, and just like so much going on. I had to do the podcast, and just like kind of overwhelming me, and I was just kind of tired. So today's a lot better, I think. I think people like this one. I hope you guys like this one.
Yeah, it's going good so far.
I feel like it is. You mentioned an online private, so sorry to segue to a different conversation, but I've had someone ask me in direct messages for a podcast question, how valuable do you think private lessons are compared to just coming to classes?
That's a great question.
That's a great question. And so I think privates are way better than the class, because you can really get focused training. But I think online privates are like the future. Like, I think that, because this guy I'm doing them with, he's in Taiwan, and we're basically, the way I do the privates with him is I review grappling footage with him, and every week he makes less and less mistakes and improves like crazy. If you see his first grappling video into what it is now, like 7 weeks later, it's like he's a totally different grappler. It's like it looks like a blue belt now, and he just started jiu-jitsu not too long ago. Like, he did a little bit of jiu-jitsu prior, but yeah, he was a beginner. So yeah, it like blows my mind how much he's improved. And I don't think like do an online private where it's like, oh yeah, this is how you do the technique, put your hand on the sleeve here, grab the pants here. No, that's not good. But reviewing grappling footage is amazing. And not to like keep going, but there's a service I talked to that basically they have like, it's a camera set up in the gym, and then through artificial intelligence they track all your rolls so you can watch them after. And that's extremely valuable, especially because if you have all your rolls filmed, and then you can get someone to review them for you. So I think like those two things are going to go hand in hand. Like once that becomes a popular thing, like having online privates where people review your grappling footage through that, it's going to revolutionize learning jiu-jitsu.
I'm a big fan of video. I mean, every other sport, especially at the higher levels, they all do video review. I mean, you watch any movie or documentary about like a football team, they're always watching film on their own games, the other team's games. It's the easiest way to learn is to watch yourself do something and see what you're actually doing. And I know I do this sometimes when I teach privates with people where I'll record a roll and then I'll kind of ask them like, what do you think you were doing from here? And they'll tell you, and then you show them the video and they're like, I wasn't doing what I thought I was doing at all. Like it's what they think, what you think is happening in the moment and what's actually happening can sometimes be very different things.
Man, that is such a great point. I never even thought about that. How many sports have like video footage review? Like golf, I know you're a golfer. I know that's super popular. Like we're looking at people's swings and stuff like that. And but I think that's why my channel has become so popular, because that's like literally what I do. I just review grappling footage of my own. And yeah, I think the slow motion, especially, you see things that you would have seen. So it's always simple things like, letting people have inside position and like reaching your arms up too high. And just in general, not to go too far off topic, but I want to make a video soon called how to literally never get submitted in jiu-jitsu. And the way to make that happen is you don't let people have inside position, which is basically, in my eyes, it's the space between your neck and your shoulder, the space between your armpit and your knee, basically. So if you let people get into those positions with their body, that's when you start getting submitted, and that's when things start going wrong for you.
Okay, so Jordan, you do a lot of online instructions. What instructional? Sorry, how do you feel about people that only learn online? Do you think that like the Gracie, I think it's called Gracie Academy or something, it's where you can get literally a blue belt online by never going to a class?
Well, they used to do that. They don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore?
So I guess like their I don't know, their uncle or their grandpa, I'm not sure exactly who it was, but they told them they don't want them doing that anymore. So now they don't do that. They don't give out blue belts online. And I think learning online is such a valuable thing to do, but I don't think you can only learn online. You need to actually do the stuff, Yeah, guys, thanks for watching the podcast today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys like to give us some feedback, did we go too far off topic with mental health, or do you guys like when we kind of talk about everything? And so that's basically it. Do you guys have any closing words?
No, if you have any questions, you can DM any of us on social media and we'll try and get them on the podcast and answer it for you.
Same.
All right. I'll see you guys next time.